Over 2 million Americans wake up tomorrow morning without a working tap in their house. They'll haul drinking water in jugs, they'll shower in whatever they can rig up outside, and surprisingly, many of them have full-time jobs. This is what poverty looks like in the country with the highest GDP per person on Earth in 2026, and nobody's putting it on the news.
So is the water actually brown?
Yeah, I won't drink it. My girlfriend drinks it, but they say it causes cancer.
So you're saying like you won't drink the tap water here?
No, I won't drink it. It's been going on for 5 years, I'd say. Long time.
And the water's like brown when it comes out of the sink, or what?
Yeah, when you turn it on, yeah.
I got the lights and water cut off.
How do you get water?
I carry it. We got a spring hole about half a mile. We can bring it in the jug.
So how do you shower?
In the tubs right there.
That's Martin County, Kentucky, where nearly half the population lives in poverty. For the past 5 years, residents say the tap water has been coming out brown. They don't drink it, don't cook with it, and don't trust it for their kids because they believe it causes cancer. So they haul it in jugs from a spring hole half a mile from the house, which is the same water collection method used by rural households in sub-Saharan Africa, and it's currently the daily reality for tens of thousands of families across Appalachia. According to Dig Deep and the U.S. Water Alliance, around 2.2 million Americans live in what's known as plumbing poverty. That means they don't have reliable access to basic indoor plumbing, things like a working toilet or a shower. And the cost of living without those essentials is staggering. Dig Deep estimates that these households spend an average of $15,800 a year dealing with the consequences, whether it's buying bottled water, paying higher healthcare costs, losing work or school time, or simply hauling water from elsewhere. That's roughly half of the federal poverty guideline for a family of 4, showing just how expensive it can be to live without something as fundamental as safe water and proper sanitation. But water isn't even the worst of it.
I lived in a third world country this last year. It was so dangerous, it was so scary. Oh my God, I woke up every single day being like, oh my God. Bucket showers, living off the land, understanding where my food's coming from, understanding the way of life. No, babes, America is a third world country. America is a third world country. I've been back for 3 months. And my body is so inflamed. Anytime I walk into a grocery store, I don't even know what to pick because I know it's all toxic.
She's not the first person to say it. The sharper version of her point is that Third World USA isn't the whole country. It's specific pockets, geographically concentrated, and permanently ignored. And once you know where they are, you can't unsee them. The one everyone should know about is Lowndes County, Alabama. It's a majority black county in the historic Black Belt region, and roughly half of surveyed homes don't have a working septic system. What they have instead is a play called straight piping, where a PVC pipe channels raw human waste directly from the bathroom into the yard. When it rains heavy, the dense clay soil refuses to absorb any of it, so sewage backs up into the house and pools in the yard where kids play. In 2017, a United Nations special rapporteur named Philip Alston visited the county and filed an official report on the conditions. PBS NewsHour filmed a resident named Pamela Rush who told the crew she'd been living with straight piping for over 20 years because she couldn't afford the $20,000 and engineered septic system costs on that kind of soil. Pamela Rush died from COVID-19 in 2020 at age 50 in the same house under the same conditions.
There's something wrong in this country telling people it is okay to work 3 jobs, not see your kids, not see your loved ones, not take a vacation, and God forbid you get sick, okay? And I still got a job at home because I'm a mother. Because let's not forget, I don't get a day off. And I got to figure all that out. How are we going to eat? How are we going to pay rent? How are we going to pay the utility bills? That every single thing went up after COVID. Not one thing stayed the same except salaries. The only thing that stayed the same in this country is the minimum wage.
The federal minimum wage in the United States has been stuck at $7.25 an hour since 2009. 20 states, including Tennessee, still use it as their floor. At $7.25 an hour, a full 40-hour week comes out to $290 before taxes. Rent on a modest 1-bedroom in almost any American city now runs 3 times that, which is the math that turns a working mother into someone juggling 3 jobs and still coming up short at the grocery store. And that's still not the biggest reason people stay poor. The doctor's visit she just described skipping is where the second crisis takes over. Roughly 27 million Americans had no health insurance at some point in 2024, and a 2026 KFF poll found that 41% of American adults are currently carrying medical debt of some kind. The way that debt gets built is people delay the appointment until it turns into an emergency, and then the emergency turns into a bill they can never repay. Which is why the healthcare stories from these communities read like something out of a documentary about a foreign country.
I work 68 hours a week, 6 days a week.
What's your shift from every day?
5 to 5, 5 a.m. to 5 in the evening. Working in coal mines, even if it's underground or on top of the ground, it's hard work. You go out 10, 12 hours a day. If you go underground, you don't see daylight until the end of your shift. It's not an easy job. A lot of people don't understand it. If it wasn't for coal mines, a lot of these people around here would be starving to death.
12-hour shifts underground, 6 days a week, with no daylight during the shift, in an industry that has been killing men slowly for 100 years through black lung and mining accidents. And the reason he keeps doing it is that the nearest hospital is 30 to 45 minutes away. The town has no public transportation, no grocery store with actual produce, no clinic that takes his insurance, and the mine job is the only thing keeping the electricity on. That's the actual structure of rural American poverty in 2026. It's not a lack of work, it's that the work is brutal. The wages haven't moved since the Bush administration, and the fixed costs of survival have climbed so far past the paycheck that the math doesn't close no matter how many hours anyone works. There's an organization called Remote Area Medical RAM, originally founded to fly medical care into remote parts of the Amazon and rural Africa. Today, they run pop-up clinics inside American high school gymnasiums and county fairgrounds because the domestic demand outstripped the international. Patients drive from 6 states and sleep in the parking lot overnight to get a wristband. And what they're coming for are services that many people in other developed countries consider basic healthcare things like a tooth extraction, a pair of reading glasses, or a routine pap smear.
So shame on you. Shame on you, and shame on me, and shame on each and every one of us who haven't rattled the windows of these buildings with cries of outrage at a government that thinks their office furniture is worthy of $40,000 a year and families and children aren't. I have 2 jobs and a bachelor's degree, and I struggle to make ends meet. The federal poverty guidelines say that I'm not poor, but I cashed in a jar full of change the other night so my daughter could attend a high school band competition with her bands. I can't go grocery shopping without a calculator. I had to decide which bills not to pay to be here in this room today. Believe me, I pulled myself up by the bootstraps so many damn times that I've ripped them off.
She said something buried in there that most Americans don't know. The federal poverty line calls her not poor. She has 2 jobs and a bachelor's degree, and she's cashing in change jars. The reason the number says she's fine is that the poverty formula was written in 1963. It assumes food costs are 1/3 of a household budget. That was true in 1963. It isn't now. Housing is closer to half. Healthcare is 15%. The formula is off by 60 years, which is why millions of working Americans who are functionally broke show up in the data as officially fine.
And so he explained to me that legally in Poland, women have to take 20 weeks off of work. And if they like to go back to work earlier than that, then the rest of the maternity leave would transfer to the father. So of course, naturally, he asked me what the US's maternity leave policy is, and I told him there was none. That in fact, after my mom gave birth to my 9-pound brother via C-section, she had to go back to work a week later. When I tell you guys that this man's jaw dropped, he could not believe what I was telling him.
The United States is the only wealthy country in the world with no federal paid maternity leave. Poland requires 20 weeks paid. Germany, Canada, and most of Western Europe offer between 6 months and 2 years. Even Hungary, which is one of the poorest countries in the European Union, offers longer paid leave than any American state. About 1/4 of American women return to work within 2 weeks of giving birth because they cannot afford to take the unpaid time. 1-week-old newborns going into daycare while their mothers heal at their desks. There's one place where all of this exists at once, and it's the capital city of a U.S. state. Jackson, Mississippi is a city of about 150,000 people with a population that is more than 80% black. For years, residents have dealt with a failing water system, including repeated boil water advisories that have become a regular part of daily life. In 2022, the main water treatment plant failed after flooding and infrastructure problems, leaving parts of the city without reliable water service for weeks. Fox News showed brown water flowing from the taps, while residents were buying 5 cases of bottled water at a time just to stay hydrated. When the reporter asked a resident if boiling the water made it safe, she said boiling didn't help because there was physical grit in it.
150,000 residents of Mississippi's capital city faced the challenge of living without running water this summer. The city's water crisis led to a state of emergency.
And this isn't just a problem in Jackson. Wealthy suburbs 40 miles away have clean water and functioning hospitals, so why do places like this keep getting left behind? A big part of it comes down to the tax base. Local property taxes pay for the pipes, the schools, and the emergency services. And when that tax base starts shrinking, there's simply less money to maintain all of it. Between 2017 and 2023, 61 rural American hospitals shut down and only 11 opened. 50 net closures, most of them in the counties that already had the highest rates of uninsured patients, meaning the sickest populations lost their nearest ER right when they needed it most. The map keeps expanding. On the Navajo Nation, spanning Arizona, New Mexico, and Utah, 30% of the 173,000 residents have no running water at home. Families drive to central watering points and haul jugs back like it's a different century. During COVID, the tribe recorded some of the highest infection rates in the country, partly because the CDC's basic public health advice was to wash your hands frequently, and 50,000 people on the reservation had no sink to wash them in. Along the Texas-Mexico border, over 500,000 people live in colonias, unincorporated neighborhoods with no municipal services, no paved roads, no sewer system, no connection to a water main. State authorities have refused to annex these communities for 40 years because running infrastructure out there would cost money the state doesn't want to spend. So residents dig their own wells, run their own septic tanks, and hope neither one contaminates the other. What makes this pattern hard to see from the outside is that the people living inside it don't know it's abnormal. Kids who grew up in Martin County drinking bottled water think that's just what water is. Kids in Lowndes County thought raw sewage in the yard was part of having a yard. Kids in Jackson thought boil advisories were part of the weather. And by the time they're old enough to leave, the poverty has locked in so tight that most of them can't afford to. Meanwhile, the GDP per person is $70,140. The stock market is up, the luxury housing market is up, the average middle-class household is worth around $500,000. And somewhere in Kentucky, a woman is filling a jug at a spring hole so her grandkids can brush their teeth before school. The country isn't uniformly poor, it's unevenly rich, and that gap doesn't close until people stop being able to look away from the parts that don't fit the brochure.